Hey there, welcome to the Movie Review Mom YouTube channel. I'm the mom and I do the movie reviews. And my goal is to give you the heads up on filmmaking quality and content so that you can decide whether or not you want to spend time or money or both sometimes watching a particular movie. My goal has always been to save you time and money. So today the movie I'm reviewing is called Chief of Station. This movie is now playing online on various platforms. It's rated R. It's an hour and 37 minutes. And my overall movie review mom grade is a B. So I'll explain why. I'll give you an overview in a nutshell. I'll point out things I liked, things I didn't like. I'll offer tips for parents in case you decide to watch this with your kids. I'll talk about themes so that you can talk about them when you watch this with your friends and family. And I'll share interesting lines, funny lines, and we'll finish up with recommendations for other films that are sort of similar that you might also really like. Now, before we begin all of that, let me point your attention to the sponsor of today's video, which is a book called Legacy of Ashes, The History of the CIA. Since we've got spies coming out the wazoo in this film, click on that Amazon link below, and it won't cost you any more to buy that book if you want to get it. To learn more about the CIA, but Amazon will throw a few pennies my way. And so I appreciate that. So, in a nutshell, Aaron Eckhart is back with another political espionage drama. It's not great, but it's still pretty doggone fun. The story is about Ben, a former CIA station chief, which is where the title comes from, whose wife dies in an unexpected explosion. Well, I don't know when explosions are ever expected, but anyway, it turns out to be a hit on her because she was also in the CIA. He has to unravel the mystery surrounding the event and rescue his son, who gets involved into the plot. The film was directed by Jesse V. Johnson, and writing credits go to George Mahaffey. So let me give you some quick tips for parents. Again, if you're planning on watching this with your kids, I think young kids will definitely be bored. Teenagers might be interested. One of the characters is Muslim. There is profanity, including many F-bombs. There's lots of violence with various weapons, as well as hand-to-hand combat. We see someone get tortured. There are lots of explosions and destruction. People get kidnapped, and there are various weapons utilized. Now, when I mention Muslim, I don't mean to say these are all bad things, just that that's the content. Just so if you watch it with your kids, you can talk about Muslims. What do they believe? Especially with all of the protests going on in university campuses right now, that might be an interesting conversation for you and your kids. All right, so some of the themes that are illustrated very well in the movie are revenge, reputation, betrayal, rogue agents, and trust. So there were a lot of things I did like about this movie. First of all, I like Aaron Eckhart, partly because he kind of looks like one of my sons. He has the same eyes and nose. And so I always get a kick out of his movies, even if they're not perfect. He's just likable somehow. He definitely takes a beating in this action flick. Other cast members include Alex Pettyfer, Chris Petrovsky, Olga Kurilenko, Letitia Ado, Nick Moran, and Daniel Bernhardt. And I thought everybody did a really good job. We get to visit several beautiful European cities where the film takes place, particularly Budapest, where I'm going to go this summer. Finally, I've been wanting to go there forever. So I'm super excited about that. And I hear it's just a stunning city. There is a twist, although you see it coming a mile away. Still, I love twists. The title refers to Aaron Eckhart's character's previous job at the CIA, which actually I already mentioned. The movie is pretty standard for the genre, but it definitely catches your attention for the presence of Aaron Eckhart on the movie poster itself. And he's why viewers all will want to watch this action movie anyway. So with all of that, there were some things I didn't like or thought could have been done differently or better. For example, some viewers might be confused by the flashbacks and bouncing around in the timeline. So just pay close attention to that and know that there is going to be some bouncing around. There's a jammed gun in a gunfight, and I was like, seriously? I mean, that happens in real life, but you don't often see that in movies. Usually it's the opposite, that people have, just endless ammo, and you're like, they would have run out of ammo by now. Anyway, so it just made me laugh out loud. And I was like, it was also very convenient that this particular person had a jam in his, gun malfunction. Aaron Eckhart sure has been accepting a lot of, can I say, lame scripts lately. Easy paycheck for him, a little bit disappointing for us. We all want to see him hit it big and just have these massive blockbusters, right? But sometimes I worry that he's following some of the footsteps of some of our leading action hero actors who are doing the same thing, kind of phoning it in and showing up in movies that are really far beneath their talent. The plot is pretty standard for this genre, as I mentioned, and it just doesn't really add anything unique or special. It's pretty standard. Now, whenever I watch movies, I like to write down the funny lines and the interesting lines that I hear to give you a little bit of a taste for the dialogue quality and script writing quality. So there were a couple of funny lines. And by the way, you can see all of these on my written review at moviereviewmom.com. So James Faulkner plays this character, and he's talking to somebody about this guy who's in charge. And he says, IG. IG is like mushrooms. Keep them in the dark and feed him manure. These are tough, old, crusty agents, really, that know the tricks of the trade. Another line that he says is, the phrase intel failure isn't an oxymoron. It's a redundancy. Get it? Intel failure. Now, there was a really dumb line, and I wrote it down just to kind of give you a little idea that there are some dumb lines in this movie. And so Aaron Eckhart says to somebody, hey, when this is all over, don't be a stranger. And it just kind of made me laugh because I've said that before. People have said that line to me before, and it's just kind of a silly line. But there were a couple of interesting lines. One is by a bad guy who says, you Americans think you're so tough. And I was like, it's true. I mean, as Americans, we watch these movies and we often forget there's a whole world watching these movies. And they always make Americans, the heroes and the good guys and all of that. Well, not always, but you know what I mean? It was just sort of a reminder. Oh, yeah, other people are watching this movie. And then there's another character, Chris Petrovsky, who says, you're going back? And Aaron Eckhart's character says, I left someone behind. And I love that even in the spy world or even in the bad guy world, they have like this code of honor. And so that is speaking to that. Sorry, I keep bumping my microphone with my hand. Sorry about that. All right, so let me give you recommendations for 3 films that I instantly thought of as I was watching this one. They all star Aaron Eckhart, and these are some of the more recent ones. So the first movie I wanted to recommend is called Rumble Through the Dark. Wow, Aaron Eckhart really takes a beating on this movie as well. And I think it's one of his strongest performances. He does a really good job, and it is a rough movie to watch. But there's a sweetness to it when you know what the story is or the motivation of one of these characters. And I don't want to give any spoilers, but definitely check it out if you're an Eckhart fan. All right, so the second movie I want to recommend is called The Bricklayer. Also, Aaron Eckhart stars in this movie. And this one came out just maybe a month or 2 ago, I think. It just recently. I just reviewed it. In fact, I'll queue up one of these because all of these are fairly recent. Maybe I'll do Rumble Through the Dark because I think out of these 3 choices, that's the strongest. Anyway, Bricklayer was not a great movie, but again, a lot of fun. And Aaron Eckhart is not phoning it in. He works really hard on a lot of these movies. The scripts are just not as great as they could be or should be. And then the last one I want to recommend is called Muzzle. Now, that movie is maybe a year or 2 old. And yet I thought it was good. Maybe it was 3 years ago. I don't know. Time goes by really fast. But it's also sweet. It's about a guy and his dog and some rough living and bad choices and stuff like that. Anyway, check those out and be sure and comment down below. Let me know what you think if you see them. And when you get a minute, run over and visit me on Instagram as Movie Review Mom, but also as me, my name, Trina Boice, where you can learn about my books, my online courses, my products, and my other shenanigans. Have a fantastic day, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye for now.